Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Thank you for joining me once again on one of these Magic the Gathering box openings for this particular entry. And, you know, we've had a couple of these in the past, and I think it's time to have another one of them since I'll probably be having more coming up because there's another one of these releasing out, and it's specifically some of these mystery booster boxes. Now, this is one of these Magic Con festivals in a boxes there. Now, this is a bit of an older one. By the time that this comes out, I'm pretty sure that this is probably the Las Vegas one, if I remember correctly. But I could be completely wrong because it's been a while since I got these. But I would very much like to be able to open this up, see what the contents of the two secret layers that come with it are, but then also just be able to be like, hey, like, let's take a look at, all of the stuff that are happening in. So, looks like we got the Secret Lair, Slay the Day, and a couple of other cards there, and the big thing of the day here, the mystery booster box, because I just like getting all of the random cards there. So before we really get on into that there, let's take a quick look at this here. I believe that this is some of the artworks that are going to be within this particular one. Starting off with this little packet right here. What are we going to get in this one here? So starting off with this little test card there, we've got an all-you-can-eat buffet, or as I like to call it when I was, 5 or 6, a buffet, because I did not understand French. And there was a Chinese buffet that was almost right across from where my elementary school was, and I was just like, yeah, we could go eat at the buffet all the time. And, little old me not knowing exactly what I was saying there. But, potentially a card in the future here. 2 and 2 green for enchantment. Look at the top card of your library anytime. You can play lands and cast creatures from the top of your library. Always nice. The top card of your library is a food token. It's still a card. So you're able to gain life at any time that you want, or because you're able to play, let's see here, you're able to play lands and cast creatures. I think technically because it's not on the field, you can't do like any sort of sacrifice mechanic for it, but, potentially in the future. And, I forgot that there was some pretty intense stuff here, like this retro border sliver hive. My goodness. I mean, not only is this kind of the classic art, and I'm just like, oh man, that's great, and me thinking like, oh man, put into sliver deck there and have fun, because I'm not looking for any combo-y type of decks, just a one that it's like, hey, yeah, I got it in there, but I forgot that there was some like actually good cards in this here. So getting the Sliver Hive is always nice, and we're also getting an Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Again, I forgot exactly what cards actually came in this, so I guess the Slay the Day is the one that has the artworks that were on that little card insert there, but we got OG Border Ugin Spirit Dragon, where it's not like the planeswalkers that had kind of like the weird text on them there. This is still trying to appear like a planeswalker, just with an older border there. But yeah, good old classic Ugin, 8 generic mana for a 7 loyalty legendary planeswalker Ugin that you can +2 to him to deal 3 damage to any target. You can -6 him, not -6, -X, to exile each permanent with mana value X or less. That's 1 or more colors. So, board wipe, and probably if you're playing this one-sided one there, or -10, which gives you that one. It's like the inverse of Nico Bolas's, which is also, and Nico Bolas was the same as, I think it was like Ruinous Ultimatum. It was one of those ultimatums there. I don't remember which one it was. It's the Grixis one. But you draw 7, you gain 7, you draw 7, and you put up to 7 cards from your hand on the battlefield. pretty intense there. So starting off with some strong ones there, just because they are good ones there. I am going to just sleeve them up off to the side here while I'm opening up pretty much everything else here. The all you can eat buffet can stay separate there. It's got it's not that particularly interesting there, but we do have this extra secret lair that does come with them there. The what is it there? Slay the Day, which is going to have those there, which I think includes potentially the only current reprint of Aloro, which is pretty insane to think that one of the commander precon deck commanders is only like just getting another reprint there. I mean, he might have gotten like a reprint in one of the master sets or something, but it's just like to think that they don't have that many, which I guess, keeps the price of those old ones in balance there. But let's take a look at the ones that they have there. Marwyn the Nurturer, 2 and a green for a 1/1 legendary elf druid. Whenever another elf you control ETBs, you put a +1/+1 counter on her. And you can tap to add an amount of green mana equal to her power. So, she's a little bit more expensive than your classic Llanowar elves there and is a legendary, but you get a few more elves out there, you buff up her power somehow, and she's tapping for a whole lot. Kind of like the, it's like Elvish Archdruid or something like that, that taps for green for each elf that you control. But, that one, it's based off of your creatures, kind of like Gaia's Cradle, whereas this one, it's just particularly her power. So, hey, we'll certainly take that one there. We are also getting, I believe that she's from Lorwyn. From Innistrad, we are getting the Forgotten Archangel, the one that Avacyn basically replaced. I'm not entirely sure if it's Lisa or Lisa, like Lisa, Liesa, something like that. Lisa, Shroud of Dusk, 2 white and a black for a 5/5 legendary angel with rather than paying 2 generic mana for each previous time you've cast a spell from the command zone this game, you can pay 2 life that many times. So you can keep her at 5 mana to cast. It's just for each commander tax beyond that there, you have to pay 2 life there. Not that shabby, actually. It kind of makes it feel a little bit like Derevi. She's got Flying and Lifelink, and whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life there. I mean, that also kind of includes yourself, so you probably want to, be playing a lot of life gain in and of it there. So, hey, I'll certainly take a new card or a new art for one that we have there. And here we are, the one from back in the heyday there, Aloro the Ageless Ascetic. 3, a white, a blue, and a black for a 4/5 legendary giant soldier with, at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 2 life. And whenever you gain life, you may pay 1 mana. If you do, you draw a card and each opponent loses 1 life. So lots of life gain there. You can, just pay an extra mana to make everybody lose a life, and you get to draw cards. It's kind of nice. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if Aloro is in the command zone, you gain 2 life. So as long as he's not in exile, in the graveyard, in your deck, in your hand, you're gaining 2 life. And most of the time, if he's either going to be on the field or in your command zone there, you're just going to be trying to gain a bunch of life early on there. So, hey, it's nice getting a new artwork for a pretty old commander. And I think this is the last of the ones that we know of, and we've got kind of a mystery card in the back here, I believe. We've got our Enchantress here, Sithis, Harvest Hand, green and a white for a 1/2 legendary enchantment creature nymph, with whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain a life and you draw a card. Pretty simple there. You cast you have a bunch of enchantments in there, you get a little bit of extra life, but it's really the card draw that you're looking for. because basically every time that you cast an enchantment spell, it has the extra flavor text on it there of you draw an extra card, you draw an extra card. So it's always replacing itself there, which is always a good thing there. So nice to get that. And ooh, Stitcher Supplier. Now, I don't exactly know if this is one that I can't remember if this is one that I've gotten before. However, I do know that this is generally a pretty decent one to have for your zombie decks there, because, or just your self-mill deck there, because when it ETBs or dies, you mill 3 cards, ETB, die, you're milling 6 extra cards. It's only 1 mana to cast, and it's a 1/1. All in all, pretty decent one to get as our extra card there. It's no 7 dwarves like we had gotten the other time there, but I mean, hey, it's better than a lot of the other ones that we've gotten before. So I'm not going to complain. I'll certainly take it there. Something that, especially if I haven't gotten it before, it's just becomes a, hey, helps out with the collection, which, collection and, what would you call it there? Yeah, the collection and just kind of making a fun deck are probably the major things that, I'll just put that underneath there. But yeah, collection is one of the main things there. I just like being able to look at all the artwork there. But now that we've kind of gone through those there, let's get on into the main attraction there. Doing a little bit of mystery now, because this is very mysterious. We've got to play the X-Files theme on top of this there. So yes, now you know that it's extra mysterious because we ended up putting that in there. And look at these beautiful packs there. I know that they don't have much in terms of the artwork on the outside there, but really it's the content of them that makes them so cool, because just getting all of these different cards from various sets is just really, really nice. I'm hoping that potentially in the future to be in a place that does have maybe more like mystery booster drafts there, where you just get the random stuff there, because I think that would probably be some of the most fun of it there. Alrighty, so let's take a look at some of what we got here. Battle Screech, 2 double white, sorcery, put 2 1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield, flashback, tap 3 untapped white creatures you control. So honestly, pretty simple to get out there, because I mean, you put it out there and all you need is just an extra 1 creature to be able to get it there. Okay. Shieldhide Dragon, 5 and a white, 3/3 dragon, flying lifelink with a little bit of Megamorph. When it's turned faced up, you put a +1/+1 on each other dragon you control there. Yep. Tezzeret's Gamble, a little bit of Phyrexian mana there. Very nice. 3 and 1 blue Phyrexian mana to draw 2 and proliferate there. Pretty nice draw spell, especially if you are in a deck that wants to proliferate. Like, I could see myself putting this in the Tidus deck there, because, you probably aren't going to be too bad on life, so you can likely pay the 2 life there instead of having it be blue. So you're like, oh yeah, I get to draw 2 cards, but then I also get to do all of my proliferations there. Seems like a pretty good addition on that. Apprentice Sorcerer. Oh, this is all the way back from, it looks like maybe Portal there. And you got the really old set symbols. Very, very nice there. You got the nice old border. Apprentice Sorcerer, 2 and a blue, 1/1 wizard. On your turn, before you attack, you may tap them to have it deal 1 damage to any 1 creature or player. So it's a interesting there. I wonder how this text kind of relates there, as it specifically designates you have to do it pre-combat step there, or if it just means that, or you have to do it on your turn. It's just an interesting thing to think on it there. It's just one of those one damage pingers. Oh, Bogart Harbinger. I am looking forward to going back to Lorwyn there, so being able to see some of these guys is really nice. And look at that, he's even got a tiny little snail on his head. Maybe this is, they were anticipating the, what do you call it, the Adventure Time gag of, there's the snail in every episode. Well, there's the snail. I guess we're probably in Adventure Time now. 2 and a black, 2/1 Goblin Shaman. When at ETBs, search your library for another Goblin. Reveal it, shuffle your library, put it on the top of your deck. Not too bad if you're looking for particular goblins. Feral Shadow. Looks like some sort of shadow cat bird or something like that. 2 and a black for 2/1 Summon Creature flying there. No card type there, but it looks like potentially like another portal card maybe. Two-handed axe. Okay, I know that I have some of these there because I've gotten that Baldur's Gate there. 2 and a red for a artifact equipment. Whenever a cryptid creature attacks, you double its power until end of turn. It kept equipped of 1 in red, but also has an adventure of an instant, 1 in a red. Target creature you control gains double strike until end of turn. Nifty, kind of makes sense there. Reckless Impulse, another one that I have there. I'm not sure. I think that this one might have been one of the better cards in Crimson Vow here. 1 in a red, sorcery, exile top 2 cards of your library. You can play them until the end of your next turn there. So you can, you could play it now, and then, when it comes around, you've got extra choices of what to do. Yep, I can see why it was played there. Wirewood Channeler, 3 and a green, 2/2 elf, tap, add X mana of any one color where X is number of elves in play. So very similar to that Archdruid there. Pretty nice there. Evolution Sage, got plenty of these from War of the Spark. They're 2 and a green, 3/2 elf druid. Land ETBs, you proliferate there, basically a landfall trigger. It's not once per turn, so, you've got your fetch lands or whatnot there. You're able to get more lands and you're proliferating more. Darksteel Ingot, pretty classic mana rock there. 3, tap for 1 mana of any color. Artifact, it's indestructible. That's why it costs a little bit more. Dress Down, okay. Dress Down is a pretty nice one there to get. It's from a Modern Horizons 2 set, so, that's already a good sign there. 1 in a blue enchantment with flash, so you can play this at any time. When it ETBs, you draw a card, so you replace it in your hand. If for some reason you have Enchantress's stuff in that includes blue, you could potentially be drawing more cards on top of that there. But the big thing is, creatures lose all abilities, and at the beginning of your end step, you sacrifice Dress Down. So if there's something that's pumping up, your opponent's stuff there, you can just make them lose all abilities so that they don't end up getting any of the stuff that they do. You can prevent activated abilities and whatnot there. It's a very, very nifty card. Oh, and we're also going to be getting a Containment Priest as well. That's nice. 1 in a white, 2/2 human cleric with flash. If a non-token creature would ETB and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. So, if they've got some way to cheat something out, like they're bringing it back from the graveyard or something like that, I believe that technically stuff are cast from the command zone there, so it can't stop commanders per se there, but it can stop a couple of other things, things just being put onto the battlefield there or played without their, if they're played but not cast, then it works out for it there. Ooh, and a little bit of a reset there. That's a nice looking one. I also love the future site artwork borders there. An instant, cast a spell only during an opponent's turn after their upkeep step. You untap all lands you control, so you could potentially surprise them up on one of those there. So we'll certainly take that there. I'm not entirely sure how I want to do these things here. All-Star Kicker there. 1 in red, 2/2, creature orc athlete there. I'm actually not going to be going over these too much there just because they're test cards. They don't really mean anything. I'll probably go over them in my own time there. But starting off, getting some nifty stuff out the get-go there. Let's keep on going. Hopefully getting some good stuff in this pack as well. Starting off with another white old bordered card there. Aven Liberator, 2 double white for a 2/3 bird soldier with flying and morph. It's turned face up. Target creature you control gains protection from a color of your choice. Okay, a little bit of protection. Barb Spike, I've gotten some of these as well. 1 in a white. Equipment. Artifact with equipped of 2. And at ETBs, you create a 1/1 colorless Thopter that has this equipped to it. It gets +1/+0. There. It's really meh. Web of Inertia, 2 in a blue. Enchantment, at the beginning of your opponent's combat phase, that player may remove a card in his or her graveyard from the game. If they don't, creatures they control can't attack you this turn. So, okay. I guess that's a way of trying to get them to stop attacking you there if they don't have anything in their graveyard. Jalira, Master Polymorphist. 3 and a blue for a 2/2 legendary human wizard. 2 blue tap, sack another creature, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-legendary creature. Put that on the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So first thought that I have here, just create a bunch of random tokens like Thopters or whatnot there, and you're just like, okay, 3 mana, just put out, a creature there from your deck. Indulgent Tormentor, I think I recognize this. 3 double black, 5/3, demon with flying. Beginning of your upkeep, draw a card unless target player sacks a creature or pays 3 life. I feel like where this originally came from, not the master set, but I feel like this was probably a rare in one of the other sets there. I could be very wrong there, but I don't know. It seems like a little interesting card there of just being like, oh yeah, that person has to sack a creature, pay 3 life, or you get to draw a card, you get to choose the person there. Meh. Good old classic Bone Shredder there. 2 and a black, 1/1, flying and echo. There comes into play. You destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature there. Just a little removal on a stick there. Probably don't need to keep it around. Plundering Barbarian from the D&D set there. 2 in a red, 2/2, Dwarf Barbarian. You get to choose either to destroy an artifact or create a treasure token. Pretty simple there. Goblin Matron. Feel like this is one that we've gotten in one of these secret lairs there. 2 in a red for a 1/1 goblin with when it ETBs, you search the library for a goblin. If you do, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle your library afterwards. So a little bit better than putting it on the top of your library there. I mean, it is from Urza's Saga, so I mean, it's got to be powerful. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that this has come up in that goblin secret lair. So, we'll take another version of it. Good old Findhorn Elves there. 1 green for a 1/1 Elf Druid tap to add a green mana. Your classic mana dork there. Temur Sabertooth from the good old Tarkir there. 2 double green, 4/3 cat. Pay 1 and a green. Return another creature you control to their hand. If you do, this gains indestructible. So, you can either utilize that to be like, yeah, I'm just going to give this indestructible, or you can do it to return something that you control to stop a removal spell on it there, or to be able to get multiple ETB triggers there. There's a few things to be able to get from it there. Puppet Strings, 3, your classic 1 there, 3 mana, artifact, pay 2, tap this, tap or untap target creature there, so you could be able to get another tap trigger if you want it there, or tap down a blocker or attacker, something like that, whatever you want. And we're going to get a mythic here, a Garth the One-Eye. Being able to choose a lot of your classic cards there. Wooburg for a 5/5 legendary human wizard with tap to choose a card. Name that hasn't been chosen from among Disenchant, Brain Geyser, Terror, Shivan Dragon, Regrowth, and Black Lotus. You create a copy of the card with the chosen name, and you may cast the copy. If you've got a way to... I can't remember what that Simic thing was called, the ability that allowed you to create, to double up or create another copy of a token copy there. But if you are able to make multiple versions of tokens there, getting multiple Black Lotuses, not a terrible thing whatsoever. And I mean, it's just funny, we're getting another Modern Horizons 2 card there. I'll certainly take one of those there. And we're going to get an Umbral Mantle, just a really fun card from the Lorwyn block, I believe, because it's 3 mana for an enchantment artifact that has 0/2 equipped there. So, I mean, it was probably something that you could be looking for with Nadu to put on, just because it was 0 to put to here, to there, to there, to there, and there. But equipped creature has 3 and untap to make it get +2/+2. You don't really see that symbol all that much, so it's fun to be able to see that in, from the good old classic lore one there. Oh, and we're also going to get a little Tormod Crypt there. That's a nice one there. 0 mana for an artifact, so help out with that storm count. You can tap it, sack it to exile target player's graveyard. A little bit of graveyard hosing, that's always nice too. And a Planeswalker there, getting all this little Kithkin Rogue there that has these little Planeswalker feet going on there. Alrighty. So already getting a Mythic there, a Tormod's Crypt and an Umbral Mantle. Not too shabby for it. Keep on chugging along. Alrighty. What next cool stuff? Another white card. Make a stand there from the Gatewatch. 2 and a white. Instant. Creatures get +1/+0 and indestructible until end of turn. Veteran Armorer. 1 and a white. 2/2 Human Soldier. Other creatures get +0/+1. Surgical Spellbomb, 1 for an artifact that you can pay 1 to sack it to draw a card. You can pay 2 and a blue to sack it to return target creature to its owner's hand. You draw a card, but you can only do it as a sorcery. Turnabout, 2 and double blue for an instant. Choose artifact, creature, or land. Tap all untapped permanents of the chosen type target player controls, or untap all tapped permanents of that type that player controls. I mean, it seems pretty versatile in being able to choose what you want to do. I mean, if you've got a lot of lands there, you could tap out and then use this to untap all your lands. Or you could tap a lot of your mana rocks and be able to untap all of them with this here. Nifty little extra one there. I dig it. Endless Scream, X and a black. Enchant creature gets +X/+0 there. Okay, got to keep track of that one there, I guess. Feast or Famine there, from the good old classic Golgari versus Izzet. My first dual deck, and one of the decks that kind of continued to solidify my love of Izzet. 3 and a black instant, you choose one. You either put a 2/2 black zombie onto the battlefield, or destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature. It can't be regenerated. Kind of expensive for its cost there, though. Giant Cindermaw from Our Brothers War, 2 and a red for a 4/3 Dinosaur Beast. Yeah, dinosaurs. Trample, players can't gain life. Pretty easy there. Scoria Cat, 3 and double red for a 3/3 cat that gets +3/+3 as long as you control no untapped lands there. Tap all those lands out and you got a 6/6 there for 5. Not a great value, to be honest. Heart Warden, 1 and a green, 1/1 elf. You can tap it to add 1 green mana to your mana pool, or you can pay 2 and sack it to draw a card there. Kind of feels like some of those artifacts that we have gotten there, where it's, provides the mana dork stuff, but you can also pay mana to sack it later on to replace it if you don't need the mana anymore. From our good old classic Baldur's Gate there, the Dread Lenorm there with its double heads there that... when I first was opening up Baldur's Gate, I remember I did not notice the second head right away there. 6 and a green for a 76 Snake Dragon. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or less, but it has the adventure instant effect of 3 and a green to put 2 +1/+1 counters on a target creature. You untap it and it gains hexproof until end of turn. A little bit of extra blocking, not blocking, extra protection, and it gets a little bit bigger there. Still kind of meh. Patchworks Automaton, 2 for a 1/1 artifact creature construct with Ward 2, and whenever you cast an artifact spell, you put a +1/+1 on it there. It is what it is. Herald of Secret Streams from Ixalan, classic Ixalan, 3 and a blue for a 2/3 Merfolk Warrior with creatures you control get +1/+. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them can't be blocked. Interesting, maybe a little addition that I could add into the Tidus deck just to try to be able to get in with a bunch of creatures if I'm able to. And a little bit of Daze. Ooh, Daze is a good one to get there. 1 and a blue instant. You may return an island you control to its owner's hand rather than pay this spell's mana cost. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 1 there. I mean, it's a It's a free counterspell that you can get there, that you can turn an island, which can give you some more landfall triggers there. You know, interesting one on that. And an Elvish Reclaimer. Not too shabby of a card there. 1 green for a 1/2 Elf Warrior that gets +2/+2 as long as there are 3 or more land cards in your graveyard. With a lot of decks, that's pretty easy, so this becomes a 1 mana 3/4. And for 2 mana, you can tap and sack a land to search your library for any land card that you have. Any land card at all, doesn't have to be a basic. You put it on the battlefield tapped and then shuffle. Well, I wonder what deck I could say that this goes well in. Maybe a Jundak. Maybe a Jundak that recently came out. I wonder which one that could be. You know, one that sacrifices lots of land, that has a Horizon Explorer, that lets lands come in untapped so you can use them right away. Could be anything. And a dairy cow. It's just a cow. Just a cow. Alrighty. Going into our next one here. Move that out of the way. Starting off with a little bit of our uncommon planeswalkers from our good old War of the Spark there. Teo the Shield Mage. 2 and a white, 5 loyalty, legendary planeswalker Teo. Static ability of you just get hexproof, and for -2 you can create a 0/3 white wall creature token with Defender. Starlight Angel, 3 double white, 3/4 probably angel with flying. Acquisition Octopus there. Nifty little equipment octopus. You don't really get to hear all that often. 2 and a blue, 2/2 artifact creature. Whenever it or equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and you can reconfigure it to put it on as an equipment there. You know, I like the reconfigures stuff that they did for Neon Dynasty. I think it's a neat one there of being able to have the equipped creature on its own, that you can just have the creature or you can use it as an equipment. Visible Stalker, you know, your good old classic get in for really easy because it's 1 and a blue, 1/1. Human Rogue that has hexproof, so it can't be targeted by your opponents, and it can't be blocked. Goes right into your Ninja, Yuriko, whatever you want to deck there. Aphotic Wisps, 1 black for an instant that target creature becomes black and gains fear until end of turn, and it replaces itself. Just a little cantrip there. Go Blank, 2 and a black, sorcery, target player discards 2 cards, then exile all cards from that player's graveyard. A little bit more graveyard hate, but you're also making them discard cards. Okay. Tormod's Crypt, still better though, because it is 0 mana. Doesn't discard the cards, but you still get their graveyard. Thermopod, 4 and a red for a 4/3 snow creature slug, getting those snow creatures in and that snow mana to make it gain haste until end of turn, and you can sack a creature to add a red to your mana pool there. Not quite as great as Treasonous Ogre, that just lets you keep on getting mana there, but you know, if you've got extra creatures, you can get extra mana. The good old classic Abrade of 2 and a red, instant, you get to deal 3 damage to a target creature, destroy a target artifact. A pretty decent one there that I always talk about. Kenrith's Transformation. 1 and a green, enchantment aura. You enchant creature. When it ETBs, you replace it by drawing a card, and the enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green elk with base power and toughness 3/3. Something got a pesky ability, you're getting rid of it there. Something's got a lot of base power and toughness, you're getting rid of it there. These are kind of the back-breaking ones to be able to put onto something where it's just like, yep, you know, it's just generic now. You don't get any value from it. Stinging Shot, 1 green, instant. You put 3 -1/-1s on target creature with flying, or you can cycle this away. I think we're going to cycle it away right now. Unmake. I always thought that this was a very creepy artwork myself, just with the Kithkin kind of like looking in the mirror with those eyes, but then it's just like, you know, its body is actually shattering instead of the mirror. Kind of trapped in the mirror there. 3 hybrid white or black mana for an instant that lets you exile target creature from the game. Pretty simple there. And we're also getting a little bit of the classic Bad Moon. Looks like a reprinting directly from the Garruk Liliana set there of the 1 in black enchantment. Black creatures get an anthem effect there of 1/1. Pretty classic. Ooh, and we're getting a not that great planeswalker, to be honest there. Sarkhan Fireblood, from, I believe they were in one of the, like, core sets there. But interesting to get it. You know, it's another mythic. We'll take it there. And it's in the white border, which you don't often see. So, you know, probably will help out somewhere to be able to complete out the collection. 1 double red, 3 mana. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. 1 double red for a 3 loyalty, legendary Planeswalker Sarkhan. 1 loyalty up, you can discard a card, and if you do, you draw a card. You can go up 1 to add 2 mana in any combination of colors, but you can only spend it on dragon spells, or you can -7. You can create 4 5/5 dragon creature tokens with flying there. Alrighty. Next up, we got a little bit of Contagion here. 3 double black for an instant with you may pay 1 life and exile a black card from your hand rather than pay this spell's mana cost. Free spell, always nice. Distribute 2 -2/-1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures. What is that? A -2/-1 counter. That is ridiculous. I can see why they went away from this because that's just stupid. Honestly, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's just stupid. And a little bit of Fetching Gardens there. A Forest and Plains. Can tap for either. Enters a tap if it was played from your hand. Interesting. So if you fetch it there, as in the Fetching Garden. Interesting. I think that's a neat design. I think that it would be heavily played in Modern and everything that basically has fetch lands in it, because why go to get something that... Why go get a shock land when you can just get this instead and it just comes in, you know? Starting off with another white card again. Trap Runner, 2 double white, 2/3 soldier. Tap it. Target attacking unblocked creature becomes blocked. Okay, so you get to... this ability works on unblockable creatures. So it's trying to be like, yes, you know, here I am trying to get an unblockable creature blocked. Banisher Priest, 1 double white, 2/2 human cleric. ETBs, you exile target creature until this leaves the battlefield. Kind of classic effect. Omen with some nice good old classic artwork there. 1 in blue, sorcery. One of the top 3 cards of your library, return them in any order. You may choose to shuffle your deck, and then you draw a card there. So pretty big scry there, and you can send them all away if you don't want to, and it replaces itself. Nice. Tide Skimmer, 3 and a blue, 2/3 Drake, flying. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures with flying, you draw a card there. A little bit of flying tribal, kind of meh as well. Bloodchief's Thirst, 1 black, sorcery with kicker, 2 and a black. Destroy target creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost 2 or less if it was kicked. Instead, destroy target creature or planeswalker. I mean, if you're in a format that has a lot of cheap stuff there, 1 is nice, but this isn't an instant. And then it costs 4 to just destroy anything. It's not that great. Bog Down, 2 and a black, sorcery, kicker to sack 2 lands. Target player discards 2 cards from their hand. If you paid the kicker, that player discards 3 from their hand instead. My goodness, sacking 2 lands to make them discard more. I mean, again, you could potentially put this in that Gen deck there, but I don't think that this necessarily has a good enough payoff to even use it, though. Balduvian Warlord, 3 and a red, 3/2 human barbarian. Tap this to remove target blocking creature from combat. Creatures it blocked that no other creature blocked this combat becomes unblocked. Then it blocks an attacking creature of your choice. Play this ability only during the declare blocker step. Okay. So remove target blocking creature from combat. Creatures it blocked that nothing else blocked becomes unblocked. And then you choose a different attacking creature to have the thing that you removed from combat to block that instead. So you get to choose how you want to assign 1 blocker, I guess. Okay. Mercadia's Downfall, 2 and a red, instant. Attacking creatures get +X+O until in a turn where X's number of non-basic lands defending player controls there. So if they're greedy, you can make something really big. Brood Monitor, 4 double green 3/3 Eldrazi drone with Devoid. ETBs, you create 3 1/1 Eldrazi, colorless Eldrazi Scion tokens there. Okay. Timberland Nation from our good March of the Machine. 4 double green, 6/5 Tree Folk. Rage Trample, 4 cycling. You know, it is what it is. Blood Tithe Harvester. I can't remember if this guy used to be good in Standard when Crimson Vow was around. Black and a red, 3/2 Vampire. ETBs, you get a blood. You can tap to sack Blood Tithe Harvester. Target creature gets -X/-6 until end of turn, where X is twice the number of blood. Tokens you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Can't even do it as an instant. That's not super great. Crystalline Crawler. Okay, 4 for a 1/1 artifact creature construct that has converge at ETBs with +1/+1 counters for each mana that was spent on it there. You can remove a +1/+1 on it to add 1 mana of any color. You can tap this to add a +1/+1 on it there. Again, honestly, not a terrible one to put in that Tidus deck there, especially if you're just, you know, proliferating a whole bunch there, and there's ways to move a bunch of +1/+1 counters onto this there, just to be like, oh, you know, now I've got a ton of mana there. Oh, good old classic Wishclaw Talisman from Eldraine there. It's an interesting one because the price like shot up a whole bunch, and I'm like, I don't even use this all that much. I get why you would. 1 in a black artifact, it ETBs with 3 wish counters on it, I guess. I mean, you can't play this in Tidus, so you gotta find a different way to proliferate. 1 and tap this to remove a wish counter from it. To search your library for a card, you put it into your hand, then shuffle, and then an opponent gains control of Wishclaw Talisman. Activate only during your turn there. So, you know, a little bit of that monkey paws action of getting the thing you want, but I mean, honestly, if you're able to, you could, you know, get the one thing that helps you win the game with this there for 1 mana, and then win the game, and it doesn't matter if they have it there because they can't use it on their turn. Or if you've got something that or if you're using something like Homeward Path there, where you're giving away a bunch of your stuff there, you could just be like, yeah, I'm gonna just take this back and use it more for myself again. Sabo's Web. 2 for an artifact. When it ETBs, you draw a card. Each land with an activated ability that isn't a mana ability doesn't untap during its controller's untap step there. So if it's a utility land, that's a feel-bad moment. And wowzer! The Aspirational! There, just this legendary snow worm there that is... You have to play Wooburg, plus you have to use a colorless and use a snow. Interesting there. You gotta use every type of mana that's possible. At least it doesn't ask you to use energy to play it as well, because that would be, oh boy, you know, you gotta play everything for it. Jotun Owlkeeper there. 2 and a white, 3/3 giant with cumulative upkeep of white or blue. When it is put into the graveyard from play, you put a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying into play for each age counter on it there. So potentially putting a lot of things out there based off your age counters. Beloved Chaplain, 1 and a white, 1/1. Cleric, protection from creatures there, so you can block things if you want to. You can swing it in. Easy enough. This can't be blocked by things because it's got that protection. Rescind, 1 double blue, instant. Return target permanent to its owner's hand. Cycling of 2. Okay. Kelpie Guide, 2 and a blue, 2/2 beast. Tap, untap another target permanent you control. Tap it to tap target permanent. Activate only if you control 8 or more lands there. Kelpies, I think, are generally not a good sign in Celt mythology there, so I probably wouldn't be following it there, to be honest. Shepherd of Rat. Shepherd of Rot. Wow. Shepherd of Rot, not Shepherd of Rat. I'm like, oh, you know, it's just a zombie carrying around a rat. 1 in a black, 1/1 zombie cleric. You tap it. Each player loses 1 life for each zombie in play. If you're able to get people low, you can just try to kill them with it there, I guess. Diregraph Horde, 4 in a black, 3/4 zombie. ETBs, create 2/2 black zombie creatures with Decayed. When you do exile up to 2 target creatures from graveyards. Okay. Gorilla Shaman. 1 red for a 1/1 ape shaman with a very good ability because it's from, they reprinted it in Modern Horizons 2 there. Double X and 1 to destroy target non-creature artifact with mana value X. So you get enough mana out there. This is not a tap ability, so you can keep on using this. If you've got a way to generate a ton of mana, you can get rid of every single artifact that your opponents control. It can be a menace. Scrapwork Mutt, 2 for a 2/1 artifact creature dog. ETBs, you may discard. If you do, you draw a card. It's got a little bit of unearth on it there. Diligent Farmhand, 1 green for a 1/1 druid. 1 and a green, sack it, search your library for a basic land, put it into play taps, shuffle your library. If it's in your graveyard, Muscle Burst effect counts it as a Muscle Burst. Interesting. I have no idea what Muscle Burst is, so it means nothing to me. Quirion Ranger, 1 green, 1/1 elf. Return elf force you control to the hand, untap target creature. Use this only once each turn. So, you know, more landfall triggers. That's always a good sign. Gruul War Chant, 2 red and green. Enchantment, attacking creatures get +1/+0. Can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures there. Yep. Oh. And getting another getting another mythic there from Modern Horizons 2, Grist the Hungertide. This was one that I did not get from Modern Horizons 2, so yeah, this is pretty nice. I'll certainly take a brand new card there that I can actually use and potentially want to use there. 1 a black and a green for a 3 loyalty legendary Planeswalker Grist. As long as it isn't on the battlefield, it's a 1/1 insect creature in addition to its other types. So in the graveyard and in whatnot there. Increase 1 loyalty, create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token, then mill a card. If an insect card was milled this way, you put a loyalty counter on it, and then you repeat the process. -2, you can sack a creature. When you do, you destroy target creature or planeswalker, and you can -5. Each opponent loses life equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. And I've gotten this one before there. It's just funny to have the white border with just the pure white card there looking like it doesn't have any artwork there, just white out. 1 and a green instant, all creatures lose flying until end of turn. You can sack a snow land to return this from your graveyard to your hand there. And it's a very interesting card because, as you can see, it does not have an artist because they literally just made it blank. What a card. What a card. Oh, little Goblin King there. We'll certainly take one of you. 1 double red for a 2/2 goblin with other goblins get +1/+1 and Mountain Walk there. Certainly take that. Uh-oh, Pinchy Mixing Butt. Ooh. Whoa. It's very, very funny there. Conjure cards named Death of 1,000 Sting, Lethal Sting, or Stinging Shot at random to your hand. Yeah, the conjured cards there, you know, feeling a little bit like Hearthstone there of trying to figure out a way to get those in there. But very, very funny card there. Just that name, Pinchy McButt. Pinchy McStingbutt. Thunderous Order, 1 and a white, 2/2 core wizard vigilance. When it attacks, gains flying until end of turn if you control a creature with flying. And the same is true for first strike, double strike, death touch, indestructible, lifelink, menace, and trample. Lone Lion, just your classic one there of wanting to have another type of basic land out there. So it's 1 white, 1/1 cat. But if you've got a forest, it gets a +1/+2. So it becomes a 2/3 as long as you have a forest as well. Bergstrider, 4 and a blue, 4/4, snow creature, giant wizard. When an ETBs, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls. If snow mana was spent to cast a spell, that permanent doesn't untap during its opponent's next untap step. Viral Drake, 3 and a blue, 1/4, Drake with flying and infect and proliferate on it there. Just proliferate with mana. Okay. Massacre there, just a creepy little smile. I feel like I should know this character because it looks very familiar. I think that this is Nemesis, maybe? I think that might be the Nemesis symbol. I started in 2012, so I don't know, the old Dominaria cards. I'm taking a guess here. 2 double black sorcery. If an opponent controls a plains and you control a swamp, you may play this without paying its mana cost. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. Okay. Reap in the Graves, 2 and a black, instant. Return target creature from your graveyard to your hand with Storm. Thunderclap, 2 and a red instant. You may sack a mountain instead of paying its cost. It deals 3 damage to target creature. I mean, free Lightning Bolt, you can put that in with the Jund if you want to there. Don't know why you would, but you can. Let you replay your stuff there. Bronze Plate Boar, 2 and a red, 3/2 equipment boar artifact creature, trample. Equipped creature gets +3/+2, has trample, and it says reconfigure a 5. Invigorating Surge, 2 and a green for an instant. Put a +1/+1 on target creature you control, then you double that amount of +1/+1s on it there. Tidus, what can I say? Cartouche of Strength, 2 and a red, enchantment or a cartouche. Enchant creature. When this ETBs, you may have enchanted creature fight another target creature an opponent controls, and your enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and trample. So, a little enchantment, but also gives a little fight spell on top of it there. Ooh, Gemstone Mind. Don't mind if I do. What? This isn't even considered the rare. This is just an extra card in there. Wow. Yes, please. Gemstone Mind. When it ETBs, you put 3 mining counters on it. You can tap this to remove a mining counter from it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. If there are no mining counters on it, you bury it. Here's a free one there that, it produces any amount of mana if you just keep on proliferating counters. I wonder where you could do that. Sublime Epiphany. Expensive card there. 4 double blue for an instant that you get to choose 1 or more. You can counter target spell. You can counter target activated or triggered ability. You can return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. You can create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, or target player draws a card there. You can choose any amount of them there. You're probably countering either the spell or the ability, and then you're just doing all of the rest there. And a little Reliquary Tower just to help us out there. No max hand size, taps for colorless. And the card that was supposed to try to save us from Mirrodin that just came too late in Saviors of Kamigawa, you couldn't save us. Kataki, War's Wage, 2/1 legendary spirit that all artifacts have at the beginning of your upkeep, sack unless you pay 1 there. And we have a little bit of a Vuzzle spaceship there. Looks like this might be a little bit of a, what do you call it there? Maybe a little bit of station type of stuff in it there. It is a spaceship there, so would make sense. I don't know when certain of these playtest cards were made, but again, I got this well before Edge of Eternities, so they could have been using that as a playtest for those there. Alrighty, a little bit of Master Decoy, 1 and a white, 1/2 soldier, pay 1 and a tap target creature. Daru Spiritualist, 1 and a white, 1/1 cleric. Whenever a cleric you control becomes target of a spell or ability, it gets +0/+2 until end turn. Tetsuko Umezawa Fugitive, 1 in blue, 1/3 legendary human rogue. Creatures you control with power or toughness 1 or less can't be blocked. Very good in a ninja deck there. Hydrolash, 2 and a blue. Instant, attacking creature gets -2/-0 until end of turn. Draw a card. Pretty meh. Spark Reaper, 2 and a black, 2/3 zombie. 3, sack a creature or planeswalker, gain a life, draw a card. Very meh. Pawn of Ulamog, 1 double black, 2/2 zombie shaman. When it or another non-token you control is put in the graveyard, you get to have a colorless Eldrazi spawn there to help get some extra mana. Fearless Scald, 4 and a red, 3/2 Dwarf Berserker with backup 1 and double strike. Fanatic of Magus, one of my favorite Minotaurs there. 3 and a red for a 4/2 Minotaur Shaman. When it ETBs, deals damage to each opponent equal to your devotion to red. So you can just get a big burn spell out of nowhere if you suddenly do it there. One with nature, 1 green for an enchant creature. Whenever enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, you may search the library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. I mean, honestly, not too bad for just a green one there. It's just if that creature is able to stay around and you can keep on hitting some with it, you just get a free extra land. That's landfall. That's, you know, more mana that you could do on other turns there. That's very nice. Night Soil, double green for an enchantment. Pay 1, exile 2 cards from a single graveyard. Put a 1/1 green sapperling onto the battlefield. Oh boy, Dragon's Maze, everybody's favorite set there. Give and take. Give 2 and a green for a sorcery. Put 3 +1/+1s on a creature. Take 2 and a blue. Remove all +1/+1s on target creature. You draw that many cards. Dragon Maze, well, it was in the Ravnica set that helped kind of really pushed me into loving Magic there and loving Ravnica. It was not a good set. Showdown of the Scalds, 2 red and a white saga with exile the top 4 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those, and then on the second and third turn there, whenever you cast a spell this turn, you put a +1/+1 on target creature you control. Okay, and a little hollow one. Okay, we'll certainly take one of these here. 5 mana for a 4/4 artifact creature Golem. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card you've cycled or discarded this turn. I needed this for my Angie Falconroth deck there. I'll certainly take that. And a little Tinderwall. Ooh, this is a nice one as well. 1 mana for a 0/3 plant wall with Defender that you can sacrifice it to add 2 red mana. Or you can pay red and sack this to deal 2 damage to target creature. It's blocking there. But it's very good because it's an investment of 1 green to eventually get 2 red there. Pretty nice trade-off. And there, split card. All the different ways of saying there, I guess. Alrighty, on to the next third here. Seeing what we can grab. Next up there, Supply Runner is 4 and a white, 2/2 dog with, when it ETBs, you put a +1/+1 on each other creature you control there. Okay, that's a nifty little one. A little expensive there, but I mean, if you're going wide. Johnny's Welcome, 1 white for an enchantment with whenever a creature ETBs under your control, you gain 1 life. You get a little bit of that Soul Sister action there. You know, nifty little extra enchantment on them. German generic creature from Mirrodin. You get to hear how much I butcher this. Geppenzerter, Wasser Wanderer. Whatever that means. 2 blue for a 1/4 creature beastie. Oh yeah. Always fun. Man of War, 2 and a blue, 2/2 creature. When it comes into play, return any 1 creature to its owner's hand. Corpse Augur, 3 and a black, 4/2 zombie wizard. When it dies, you draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of creature cards in target player's graveyard. You can potentially draw a bunch of cards off of that there. Moan of the Hallowed, 2 double black, sorcery, create 2 2/2 black zombie creature tokens when this has flashback as well. Oh, good old Tybalt, everybody's favorite planeswalker. Tybalt, Rakish, Instigator from War of the Spark. 2 and a red, 5 loyalty, legendary planeswalker Tybalt with opponents can't gain life. And you can -2 him to create a 1/1 red devil creature token that deals 1 damage to any target when it dies. Renegade Warlord, 4 and a red for a 3/3 soldier with first strike, and when it attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Blanchwood Prowler, 1 and a green, 1/1 elemental. When it ETBs, you mill 3, and you may put a land from among the cards milled this way into your hand. If you don't, you put a +1/+1 on it. Bladed Crusher, 4 and triple green for a 7/6 beast with trample and hexproof there. Pretty meh. Mountain Valley, a land, comes into play tapped. You can tap it to sack it and search your library for a forest, for a mountain or forest card. Put it into play. Shuffle your library afterwards. Interesting. This is basically a fetch land that you don't have to pay life to go get something. It just comes into play tapped instead. But the thing that you search for, the mountain or the mountain or forest, doesn't come into play tapped, so you can still use it when you get it. Nifty. I'll certainly take a look at that. Pandemonium, 3 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature ETBs, that creature's controller may have it deal damage equal to its power to target creature or player of his or her choice. This is symmetrical for anything that comes in there. It probably would be Pandemonium. Oh, white bordered Karn the Great Creator. That's a nice one to get. 4 generic for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker Karn. Activated abilities of artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated for 1 going up 1 loyalty until your next turn. Up to 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power and toughness each equal to its mana value, or you can -2 loyalty to reveal an artifact card you own from outside the game, or choose a face-up artifact card you own in exile and you can put it into your hand. So if you exile a bunch of stuff, you could bring it back. The big thing for this one was turning your opponent's lands into artifacts there, so that because tapping a land for its mana is technically an activated ability. It's a mana ability, but it's still an activated ability. So that's a very nice one to get in the white border. And we're also going to, Swords to Plowshares. We'll certainly take that as well. Nice good in that Future Sight frame there. The good old classic 1 white, instant exile creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. Better than Path to Exile, so very, very, very good removal in white. And Knight of the Flying Merfolk there. It's a saga. It's a saga. Okay, well, Karn and Swords to Plowshares. That's a pretty good pack there as well. Basri's Acolyte, 2 double white, 2/3 Cat Cleric, lifelink. When it ETBs, you put a +1/+1 on each of up to 2 other target creature control. Meh. While Swords, very classic 3 and a white for a 3/5 wall with flying, and it has defender, so it can't attack. Nephalia Smuggler, 1 blue for a 1/1 human rogue, 3 and a blue, tap, exile another target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. So a little bit of a blink there, but very expensive blink. Pirate's Prize, but I guess it's one that you can use over and over again. Pirate's Prize, 3 and a blue sorcery, draw 2, create a treasure token there for, that's kind of meh as well. Reign of Filth, 1 black, instant, each land you control gains sack it to add black to your mana pool until end of turn. I mean, you could use this if you feel like you're going to win just by sacking off the lands. Just don't have whatever you're going to do flop, because then you lose. Wicked Pact, 1 and double black, sorcery, destroy 2 target non-black creatures and you lose 5 life. Hoarding Ogre there from D&D, 3 and a red. 3/3 Ogre, that when it attacks you roll a d20. On a 1 to 9 you create a treasure. On a 10 to 19 you create 2 treasures. And on a nat 20 you get your 3 treasures. Very nice. Fire Blast, 4 double red, instant. You can sack 2 mountains instead of paying its cost. It deals 4 damage to target creature or player. That's a lot to be able to do it there. That's not worth playing now. Jaspera Sentinel, 1 green for a 1/2 elf rogue with reach. Tap an untap creature you control to add 1 mana of any color. So, you got to tap 2 creatures to get an extra mana. Not that great of one. Woodland Mystic, 1 and green, 1/1 elf druid. It's a mana dork. It adds a green mana. Frenetic Sliver. Getting your slivers in there. 1 and blue and red for a 2/2 sliver, with all slivers have pay 0. If this creature is in play, you flip a coin. If you win the flip, remove this creature from the game and return it to play under its owner's control at the end of turn. If you lose the flip, you sack it there. Get your Krark's Thumb out there, and you can try to protect all of your slivers as long as you can. And we're getting the classic Teferi. Teferi, Mage of Zhalfir, 2 and 3 blue for a 3/4 legendary human wizard with flash. Creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield have flash, and each opponent can cast spells only anytime he or she cast a sorcery. Good old classic Teferi, bringing them down to sorcery speed there. Very, very effective ability on that there. And, it's unfortunate that it's just it's only cards that aren't on the battlefield with flash, because I could feel that you could use this with Sonic the Hedgehog there, because it gives the bonuses to things with flash or haste, and they technically lose flash once they're on the battlefield. Unholy Heat, this used to be a big staple in Standard when it was legal there. 1 red for an instant that deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Target creature or planeswalker. So your classic little shock there. But if you've got Delirium, you've got those 4 card types. It deals 6 damage instead. 1 mana for 6 damage on an instant. That's pretty intense. Cunning Wish. I think this is an interesting one as well. 2 and a blue for an instant. Reveal an instant you own from outside the game and put in your hand and then you exile it. Yep, it's an interesting one there. You just get to add an extra card to your stuff there. Whatever you want. You just bring a bunch of extra cards and you're like, I think I need this to kind of help me out there. Pyromancy 101. Thank you, Chandra. We learned so much from you. So much. Fire 1 plus fire 1, fire plus fire 1, fire equals fire 2. That's the math that we're doing. Angelic Blessing, 2 and a white sorcery. Any one creature gets +3/+3, gains flying until end of turn. Okay. Suture Priest. Okay, I like myself some Suture Priest. 1 and a white, 1/1 cleric. Whenever another creature ETBs under your control, you gain a life, and whenever a creature ETBs under an opponent's control, you may have that player lose a life there. You know, it's a good old classic one that you just keep on gaining your life, and they lose their life. Expel from Orazka, 1 and a blue instant with Ascend, City Blessing there for the rest of the game. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If you have the City's Blessing, you may put that permanent on top of its owner's library instead, so you refuse them their draw. Wing Splicer, 3 and a blue, 1/1 human artificer. When it ETBs, you put a 3/3 colorless golem creature token on the battlefield, and golems you control have flying. Now, there was a whole Splicer segment. What was it there? Not rotation, not block. Cycle. There was a whole cycle of these splicers that were 3 and they might have been all over the place there, but I know that they were expensive, but they were a 1/1 human artificer that would create the 3/3 golem creature token, and they would give them something there. So this one gives them flying. Mindrack Harpy, 3 and a black, 3/2 enchantment creature Harpy, flying, beginning of combat on your turn. Each player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. Heartless Act. Very, very heartless there of hurting that creature. 1 and a black instant, you choose 1, destroy target creature with no counters on it, or move up to 3 counters from target creature. Invigorated Rampage, 1 and a red instant, choose 1, target creature gets +4/+0 and trample until end of turn, or 2 target creatures each get +2/+0 and trample until end of turn there. Get to choose. Dwarven Recruiter, 2 and a red for a 2/2 dwarf with when it ETPs, you search the library for any number of dwarf cards and reveal those cards, shuffle your library, and put them on top in any order. Makes it feel very similar to a Goblin Recruiter. I wonder if they were made similarly. Looking for my Dwarf Tribal deck. Crawl Harpooner, 1 and a green, 3/2 Insect Warrior with Reach. Undergrowth, when it ETBs, choose up to 1 target creature with flying you don't control. It gets +X/+O until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Then you may have this fight that creature. Presence of Gond, 2 and a green, enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchant creature has tap to put a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token onto the battlefield. Goldvein Pick, 2 mana for an equipment. 1 mana, 2 equipped. Gives equipped creature +1/+1, and whenever the equipped creature deals combat damage, you create a treasure. Mog Infestation, 3 and double red for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures target player controls, and for each creature that died, you put 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield under that player's control. Get rid of their board where they have all of their pieces there, and they just get 1/1s, and there are ways to get rid of a bunch of 1/1s there. Spell Pierce, another good counter spell just to get in here. 1 blue for an instant, counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2 mana. Ooh, and from, I believe that this comes from the Ur-Dragon precon there. Okagachi Vengeful Kami, the big bad of OG Kamigawa block. 1 in Wooburg for a 6/6 legendary dragon spirit with flying and trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, if that player attacked you during their last turn, exile target non-creature permanent that player controls. Honestly, it doesn't do a whole lot there, but it's just fun that, you know, we got another mythic there. And we got a little Stone Drake there, which looks like it's a dragon that just somehow is picking up a top of a mountain, maybe to throw it at someone there. I'm not entirely sure. Alrighty. Next up there. So we've gotten 4 mythics out of this. That's pretty good. We still haven't gotten a foil one yet. It seems like we generally get at least 1 foil in each box here. Temporal Isolation, 1 and a white. Enchantment Aura with Flash. Enchant creature. Enchant creature has Shadow. Prevent all damage that would be dealt by enchanted creature. So you make it so that they can't even block, really. Haha. Spirit Link, 1 white, enchantment aura, enchant creature. Whenever enchanted creature deals damage, you gain that much life there. I wonder if there's a way to, because it says deals damage. It doesn't say deal combat damage. If you've got something out there, like a creature that says when this creature deals damage, you gain life, or like, you know, something along those lines there, then it could go infinite with this here. Oh, Dreamscape Artist. This is a very nifty card that I just recently found out about. 1 and a blue for a 1/1 human spell shaper. Don't hear much about spell shapers. 2 and a blue, tap it to discard a card, sack a land, and you search the library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them into play. They're untapped, and then you shuffle your library so you can still use them. But it's a way to ramp out in blue, which is very unusual. So, hey, very interesting card. Windstorm Drake, 4 and a blue, 3/3 Drake, flying. Other creatures you control with flying get +1/+0. A little bit of flying tribal on a not good card. Deadly Dispute, 1 and a black, instant. As an additional cost, you sack an artifact or creature. You draw 2 and you create a treasure. I like these ones a lot there. Scourge Familiar, 4 and a black, 3/2 imp with flying. Choose and discard a card. You add a black mana to your mana pool. Play this ability as a mana source there. You can keep on discarding cards from your hands to add black there, which makes me feel like I might want to put this into my Angie Falconroth if it wasn't 5 mana there. That's a bit of a yikes. Lightning Mauler, 1 and a red, 2/1 human berserker with soul bond, and as long as it's paired with another creature, both of them have haste. Interesting. Rites of Initiation, 1 red for an instant. Discard any number of cards at random from your hand. Creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn for each card discarded this way. Okay. Wireword Guardian, 5 and double green for a 6/6 elf mutant with forest cycling there. Okay. Biogenic Upgrade, 4 double green and sorcery. Distribute 3 +1/+1s among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures. Then you double the number of +1/+1 on each of those creatures there. It's a little expensive to put in the Tidus deck. The doubling of counters makes it tempting. It makes it very tempting, but it's so expensive. I can always use more Decanters of Endless Water. 3 mana for a mana rock. Add 1 mana of any color, and you get no maximum hand size. Fantastic one. Good old classic Parash, Sky Raider of Care. Another mythic that we get there. 3 black, red, green. 5/5 legendary dragon flying. When you cast them, you create X01 red kobold creature tokens, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast Parash, and you can sack another creature to make it gain +1/+0 until end of turn. I mean, you can use that to try to commander damage someone out there, but you're probably going with an infinite combo on this somehow. So, you know, I'm just glad to get extra cards there. And then we're also getting a white-bordered Icefang Quaddle, which seems very nice because Icefang, I mean, have a white border. It kind of makes sense. Green and a blue, 1/1 snow creature snake with flash and flying. When it ETBs, you draw a card, so you replace it, and it has Death Touch as long as you control at least 3 other snow permanents there. You're probably going to have them there, so you just get something that kills something on when it ETBs. Life tap, enchantment, whenever a forest an opponent controls becomes tapped, you gain a life there. Okay, it's probably a classic card. Defender of the Queue, we'll pass on that one there. So another mythic, we've gotten a few mythics there. A lot of them kind of aren't that great though, but like I said, it helps out with the collection, and that's kind of one of the big things for me. Shepherd of the Lost, 4 and a white, 3/3, angel with a bunch of keywords, flying, first strike, and vigilance. Step links, 1 white for a 0/1 cat, landfall. Whenever a land ETBs, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Krovikin Sorcerer, 2 and a blue, 1/1 human wizard. You can tap to discard a non-black card and draw a card, or you can tap to discard a black card and draw 2, but then you have to discard one of them. So you have to discard one of the cards that you drew. Okay. Exhaustion, 2 and a blue, sorcery, beginning of your opponent's next turn. They skip untapping their creatures and land. So for 3 mana, you can just say, nah, you're not untapping anything. That's ridiculous there. That's ridiculous. This makes someone not be able to do anything. Thirsting Bloodlord, 2 double black for 3/3s. Vampire with other vampires you control get +1/+1. A little anthem effect there. Edict effect, Shieldred's Edict, 1 and a black, instant, choose 1. Each opponent sacks a non-token creature. Each opponent sacks a creature token. Each opponent sacks a planeswalker. Yeah, this is a very good edict. A very, very good edict. Rock Slide, X and a red, instant, deals X damage divided any way you choose among any number of target attacking or blocking creatures without flying. Just classic cards there. Ramanap Ruins, a desert. So it taps for colorless. You can pay a life to tap it to add red. And you can pay 2 and double red to tap this to sack it and deal 2 damage to each opponent. You know, they were a cycle there. Rise of the Ants! The giant insects are upon us! 4 and double green for a sorcery to create 2 3/3 insect creature tokens and gain 2 life, and it has a little bit of flashback on it. Might of Old Krosa, 1 green for an instant that target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and if you played it during your main phase, they get +4/+4 until end of turn instead there. Burning Tree Emissary, 2 hybrid red and green mana for a 2/2 human shaman that when it ETBs, you add red and green mana. So one of the big things for it there is it helps out with Storm Counter, I guess, and could sack it for stuff because it did what it needed to, I guess. More Onslaught stuff there. Berserker's Onslaught, 3 and double red for an enchantment that attacking creatures you control have double strike there. Pretty simple. Cathar's Commando there. I've seen this one pretty often. 1 and a white, 3/1, human soldier with flash. You can pay 1 to sack it to destroy target artifact or enchantment there. A little bit of nice removal. Nomad's Encore, 1 white for a 1/1 core nomad soldier with pay 0, and the next 1 damage that would be dealt to Nomads and Core this turn is dealt to target creature you control instead. You can send the damage elsewhere if you really want to. And indicate target permanent there. I remember this one being there, so you can have things activate that are based off of trying to have something interact with your spells there. So, and it's 0 mana, so it helps out with Storm as well. Ha 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 ha! Alrighty. The downgraded Mentor of the Meek used to be a rare there. 2 and a white, 2/2 human soldier. Whenever a creature with power 2 or less ETBs, you may pay 1, and you draw a card. Samurai of the Pale Curtain there, going back with a little bit of the Bushido action. To original Kamigawa, double white for a 2/2 Fox Samurai, Bushido 1. So whenever this blocks or becomes blocked, it gets +1/+1 for each Bushido it has there. And if a permanent would be put into a graveyard, you remove it from the game instead. Cerulean Wyvern, 4 and a blue for a 3/3 Wyvern with flying and protection from green. Ophidian Eye, 2 and a blue for an enchantment aura with flash. You enchant creature, and whenever enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you draw a card, or you may draw a card. Throw Parasite, 1 black for a 1/1 throw. Extort for 1 hybrid white-black. And you can tap this to pay 2 life to remove a counter from target non-land permanent. Disturbed Burial, 1 and a black sorcery, buyback of 3. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. You find some prisoners, 1 and a red for an instant. Choose 1. You either destroy target artifact, or you can exile top 3 cards of target opponent's library. You choose 1 of them until end of your next turn. You may play that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast. Goblin Wizardry, 3 and a red for an instant. Create 2 1/1 red goblin wizard creature tokens with prowess. Ew. Gaia's Gift, 1 and a green instant. Put a +1/+1 on target creature you control. Gains reach, trample, hexproof, and indestructible until end of turn. Gives a bunch of keywords. Squirrel's Nest, 1 double green. Enchantland. Enchantland has tap to add a 1/1 green squirrel creature token onto the battlefield. That's a pretty classic there. Another classic here, Worn Powerstone, 3 mana for an artifact that comes in play tapped, and you can tap this to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool there. And we're getting another one that was a big one in Standard for during its time there. Goblin Chain Whirler. Triple red for a 3/3 Goblin Warrior with first strike that when it ETBs, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. Here's one there that, you give them all of those 1/1s after destroying their board, and you just get rid of all of them. And we're also going to get a snow-covered forest, so that's going to help our Ice Fanged Quaddle there. Very nice to get a white border one there. And an Ensnaring Bridge will certainly take that one there as well. Artifact with 3 mana for an artifact. Creatures with power greater than the number of cards in your hand can't attack. So you could try to have a very small number of cards in your hand to prevent attacking there. And a Zone of Flames test card there. Coming up with our next one here. Alrighty, getting a little bit of Miraculous Recovery for a white instant. Put target creature card from your graveyard into play and a 1/1 counter on it. Treat that creature as though it were just played, so I'm assuming that just means it has Summoning Sickness. Avian Changeling, 2 and a white, 2/2, Shapeshifter with Changeling and Flying. Pretty straightforward. Mental Note, 1 blue for an instant. Put the top 2 cards of the library into your graveyard, and then you draw a card. Okay. Killer Whale, 3 and double blue for a 3/5 whale. 1 blue, it gains flying until end turn there. Okay. Fleshbag Marauder, 2 and a black, 3/1 zombie warrior. ETBs, each player sacks a creature. Throat Slitter Ninja, 4 and a black for a 2/2 rat ninja with ninjutsu. 2 and a black. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you destroy a target non-black creature that player controls. It's a very, very good ninja to get out there. Changeling Berserker, 3 and a red for a 5/3 Shapeshifter Changeling with haste. Champion a creature there, which means when this comes into play, you sacrifice it unless you remove another creature you control from the game. And then when this leaves play, that other card comes back there. Swelter, 3 and a red, sorcery, deals 2 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures. Silverglade Elemental, 4 and a green, 4/4 Elemental that when it comes into play, you may search the library for a forest, put it into play if you do shuffle your library. Good old classic Rampant Growth with a little bit of Mirage artwork. That's a very, very nice one there. I dig that. 1 and a green, sorcery, search your land for a basic land, put it on a battlefield tap, shuffle your library afterwards. Crackdown Construct, 4 mana for a 2/2 artifact creature construct. Whenever you activate an ability of an artifact or creature that isn't a mana ability, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn there. Oh, I can't remember if this one is still banned in Commander or if it just got put onto the Game Changer list there. Leovold, Emissary of Trust, black, green, and blue for a 3/3 legendary Elf Advisor. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn there. Turn off any draw engines. Whenever you or a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card there. So they try to get rid of some of your stuff there. You get to draw some of your extra cards there, and you draw that card, and you can respond after you've drawn the card because it's a trigger of them targeting you. I would like to be able to go back and get a little bit of Conspiracy Take the Crown, because I got Original Conspiracy, but I never got any of Take the Crown, and I'd really like to. And I already got one of the good cards from it, I guess. Oh, another classic that used to be a really good card in Standard there. Abrupt Decay, black and a green. Instant, can't be countered. Destroy target non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less. Nice, nice. Pyroblast. Very funny one there. 1 red for an instant. Choose one. Destroy target, counter target spell that's blue, or destroy target permanent that's blue. Okay. Yeah, you know, you can counter a counter spell with it there. And we've got Nara, the Beige Flower. Each creature assigns combat damage equal to its mana value rather than its power. Interesting. Tokens are worthless with that, I guess. Alrighty. Next up there, we got a little bit of plate armor. 2 and a white. Artifact equipment. Equipped to 3. Costs 1 less for each other equipment you control. Equipped creature gets +3/+3 and has ward 1. There. Seems kind of nifty that you could put it in a Voltron deck there, because you could essentially have a equipped of 0 there, because you can get it down to 0. And then your creature gets +3/+3 in ward. Not the worst option. Vanish into Eternity, 2 and a white instant. Costs 3 more to cast if it targets a creature. Exile target non-land permanent there. Referee Squad, interesting there. 2 and a blue for a 2/2 Homunculus with Convoke and Vigilance, and when it ETBs, tap target creature and opponent controls and put a stun counter on it there. Feels a little bit detainy. Dream Thrush, 1 and a blue, 1/1 bird, flying. Tap, target land becomes a land of the basic land type of your choice until end of turn there. So you can stop your opponent from playing something there if you want to, I guess. Virtue's Reign, 2 and a black sorcery, destroy all white creatures. It's pretty classic. Bad Deal, 4 and double black sorcery. You draw 2 and each opponent discards 2, and then each opponent loses 2 life there. Oh, Anger, that's a good old classic one to have. 3 and a black, 2/2. I think Incarnation has turned into Elemental there. Has haste, and as long as it's in your graveyard and you control a mountain, all of your creatures have haste. Nice. Mog Conscripts, 1 red for a 2/2 goblin with cannot attack unless you have successfully cast a creature spell this turn. Briar Patch, 1 and double green for an enchantment. Whenever a creature attacks you, it gets -1/-0 until end of turn. Spore Swarm, 3 and a green. Instant, create 3 1/1 green Saproling creature tokens. Okay. Letter of Acceptance there, your Hogwarts letter, if you will. 3 for an artifact. You can tap to add 1 mana of any color. Or you can pay 2 and tap this to sack it and draw a card. Another Mythic. A nice little clone there. Clever Impersonator. 2 and double blue for a 0/0 shapeshifter that you may have it ETB as a copy of any non-land permanent on the battlefield. And that's the thing. It's not target creature. It's non-land permanent. So you can have creature, you can have artifact, enchantment, battle, planeswalker. There's a lot of stuff that you can put this in as. Nice little one there. Ooh, and a white bordered Chain Lightning. Yeah. 1 red for a sorcery, deals 3 damage to any target there. Then that player or that permanent's controller may pay 2 red. If they do, they may copy the spell and choose new targets. Alrighty. Rain of Daggers, 4 double... Whoop. Rain of Daggers, 4 double black for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures target opponent controls. And then you lose 2 life for each creature destroyed this way. So you take a lot of damage potentially from it there. Or if they've got one thing that's very dangerous, but you probably want to get rid of more than once for 6 mana. And plant a sapling there, but it's got the both sides on the one side there, so you don't have to look. And now we are 2/3 of the way through. Alrighty. Next one there. Noble Purpose, 3 double white for an enchantment with whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, you gain that much life. Birth of Meletus, 1 and a white. Saga, search your library for basic planes, reveal it, put in your hand, shuffle your library. On the second one, create a 0/4 colorless wall with Defender. And on 3, you gain 2 life. Pretty bad saga there, to be honest. Pendrel Drake, 3 and a blue, 2/3 Drake with flying and cycling. Deceiver Exarch. Okay, this one was, pretty big with like that Impestermite there for some of those Splinter Twin actions there. 2 and a blue for a 1/4 Cleric with Flash. When it ETBs, you choose 1 untap target permanent you control or tap target creature, tap target permanent opponent controls there. Undercity Informer, 2 and a black, 2/3 Human Rogue, 1 sack a creature, target player reveals cards from top of their library until they reveal a land, and they put those cards into the graveyard. Vindictive Vampire, 3 and a black, 2/3 Vampire. Whenever another creature you control dies, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life there. Another one of those ones there. Thopter Engineer, 2 and a red, 1/3 Human Artificer. When it ETBs, you put a 1/1 colorless Thopter onto the battlefield, and artifact creatures you control have haste. Unchained Berserker, 1 and a red, 1/1 Human Berserker with protection from white and gets +2/+0 as long as it's attacking. Mutagenic Growth, that's a good one there. 1 Phyrexian green for an instant that gives target creature +2/+2 until end of turn. Very, very good one there. Certainly take that. Prosperous Innkeeper, 1 and a green, 1/1 Halfling Citizen. When it ETBs, you create a treasure, and whenever another creature ETBs, you gain a life. Pearl Shard, 3 mana for an artifact with 3 and tap, or 1 white and tap to prevent the next 2 damage that would be dealt to target creature or player this turn. Silumgar, Drifting Death there. Haven't seen you for a while. 4 blue and a black. 3/7 Legendary Dragon with flying and hexproof. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, creatures defending player control get -1/-1 until end of turn there. I mean, it was a big one for a while to try to get rid of a lot of stuff there, attacking with a lot of dragons and whatnot. Ooh, and a Snow-Covered Wastes will absolutely take one of these ones there. Not too many that you get of those, so that'll be nice. Ooh, and here, it's in a Gush too? Oh, yeah, that's a nice foil on that one there. That's a nice one to get foil. 4 and a blue instant. You may return 2 islands you control to their owner's hand rather than pay this cost. You draw 2 cards there. Free draw 2. And the Colossal Dreadmaw. Legendary creature dinosaur. 6/6 trample. You may cast creature spells from your hand as though they were the card Colossal Dreadmaw, and they become Colossal Dreadmaws there. Very, very nice. Getting the Gush. That's a nice one for us there. We'll certainly be taking that. It's a good one to get a foil on there. Very, very playable card. It'd be nice to be able to play with that one there. Dawnbringer Cleric, 1 and a white, 1/3 Human Cleric. ETBs, you choose 1. You gain 2 life, destroy target enchantment, or exile target card from a graveyard. Tenacity, 3 and a white, instant. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and lifelink until end of turn. Untap them. Voyager Drake, 3 and a blue, 3/3 Drake with multi-kicker of blue flying. When it ETBs, up to X target creatures gain flying until end of turn, where X number of times this was kicked. Shadow Rift, 1 blue, instant. Target creature gains shadow, and you draw a card. Nice little cantrip there. Replaces itself and you give shadow. Blood Pact, 2 and a black, instant. Target player draws 2 and loses 2 life there. A little bit too expensive. Grim Bounty, 2 double black, sorcery. Destroy target creature or planeswalker, and you create a treasure token. Forked Lightning, 3 and a red, sorcery. Deals 4 damage, divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures. That's, again, very meh. Spite Bellows, 5 and a red, 6/1 elemental. When it leaves play, it deals 6 damage to target creature, and it has Evoke of 1 and double red. Spike Colony, 4 and a green for a 0/0 spike creature. When it ETBs, it comes in with 4 +1/+1s on it, and you can pay 2 to remove a +1/+1 from it to put a +1/+1 on another target creature. Vivian's Grizzly, 2 and a green, 2/3 Bear Spirit. 3 and a green, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature or planeswalker, you may reveal it and put it in your hand. If you don't, put that card into your hand. If you don't put it in your hand, put it on the bottom of your library. Terramorphic Expanse with a nice artwork there. Good old classic land. Tap it and sack it. Search your library for a basic land to put it on the battlefield tapped, and you shuffle your library. Another mythic here, a Chroma Angel of Wrath from the Angel versus Demon dual deck there. 5 and triple white for a 6/6 legendary angel with a bunch of keywords there. That's what used to pass as like a really cool, awesome creature there. This was your powerful creature there. For 8 mana, you got a 6/6 flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, and protection from black and red. Goes in with the... Oh, and we get a Displacer Kitten in the white border there. That's a good one there. 3 and a blue, 2/2 Cat Beast. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent you control, and then you return to the battlefield under its owner's control. Very, very good blink effect there. Awesome, awesome to get another one. Ooh, and a Goblin Lackey. This one is, I believe, good as well. 1 red for a 1/1. Whenever it deals damage to a player, you may put a Goblin permanent from your hand on the battlefield. Yep, that's a good one there. And TLDR. Exile target creature if it has any abilities other than keywords. That's a nifty one there. So the more Yu-Gi-Oh your card, the more relevant that becomes. I guess that's one way to put it. Alrighty. Sage's Reverie, 3 and a white, enchantment aura, enchant creature. When it ETBs, you draw a card for each aura you control that's attached to a creature. Not the attached creature, just any creature in general. So if you've got a lot of auras there, then you become JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and you draw a bunch of cards for each time that Star Platinum has attacked. Because you got aura. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each aura you control that's attached to a creature there. So, again, tons of auras. Desperate Lunge, 1 and a white, instant. Target creature gets +2/+2, gains flying until end of turn, and you gain 2 life. Poor Gideon, you never stood a chance. Spiketail Drake, 3 double blue, 3/3, Drake, flying. Sack it to counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. And, I mean, so you can just be like, I mean, I can always counter it there. I gotta have the extra mana. Scion of Glaciers, 2 double blue, 2/5 elemental. Gets pay 1 blue to have it get +1/+1/-1 until end of turn. On Burial Rites, 4 and a black. Return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield on flashback of 3 and white. Stupor, 2 and a black sorcery. Target opponent discards a card at random, then chooses and discards a card. So they discard 2 cards there. One is chosen at random, and then they choose a second one there. Light up the stage, 2 and a red sorcery with Spectacle of Red. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may pay those cards. So if opponent lost life, you can pay red instead of 2 and a red. I think that's why it was good in standard. Goblin Taskmaster, 1 red. Goblin, 1/1, 1 and a red. Target Goblin gets +1/+0 until end of turn, and morph of 1 red. Not that great. Jungle Lion, 1 green for a 2/1 cat creature that cannot be countered there. Assault Formation, 1 and a red. Enchantment. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Toughness matters dex. 1 green, target creature with Defender can attack as though it didn't have Defender. And 2 and a green, creatures you control get +0/+1 until end of turn there. That's all creatures you control. Spirit of the God, Steel of the God Head, 2 and a hybrid white-blue for an enchantment aura. Enchanted creature, as long as it's white, gets +1/+1 in lifelink. If it's blue, it gets +1/+1 and unblockable. And we're getting another card from the War of the Spark there. Ral, Storm Conduit, 2 blue and a red for loyalty for a legendary planeswalker Ral. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, Ral deals 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. 2 loyalty up, scry 1, 2 loyalty down. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, you copy that spell and you may choose new targets for it. And a little bit of classic Faithless Looting, 1 red for a sorcery, draw 2, then discard 2, and flashback of 2 and a red there, so you can play it from your graveyard for its flashback cost there. Nice one there, with the Dax Faden art. And a little bit of Pox there, triple black for a sorcery. Each player loses a third of their life, discards a third of the cards in their hand, sacrifices a third of the creatures they control, and sacks a third of the lands they control, round up each time. you know, just everybody symmetrically taking a bunch of stuff away. And, you know, to go with the Cosmogoyf that we have, now we've got a Subgoyf. Yep, a submarine Lurgoyf. What a world that we live in, that we're getting so much Goyf tribal, especially after Modern Horizons 3. Knight of Meadowgrain, double white for a 2/2 Kithkin Knight, first strike and lifelink there. Nice little one there. Master of Arms, 2 and a white, 2/2 soldier with first strike, 1 and white, tap target creature blocking it. Ideas Unbound, double blue, arcane sorcery to draw 3 and then discard 3 at the discard 3 at the end of turn there. So, I mean, if you use up all of your cards there, then doesn't matter. Miscalculation, 1 and a blue for an instant. Counter target spell unless its controller pays an additional 2 mana there, and cycling of 2. With the good old Karn and people with their hair just exploded backwards. Fell Stinger, this was one of the things that the McStabby Butt could get you. 2 and a black, 3/2 zombie scorpion with Death's Touch, exploit, and when this exploits a creature, target player draws 2 and loses 2 life there. So, you know, sack one of your creatures there, and you lose 2, but you gain 2 life. Dusk Mangler, 5 and double black for a 5/4 horror with, as an additional cost to cast it, you either have to sack a creature, discard a card, or pay 4 life. When it ETBs, each opponent sacks a creature, discards a card, and loses 4 life there. So they get all of that going off. It's 7 mana to play. That's a whole lot. Flowstone Hellion, 4 and a red for 3/3 beast that has haste, and for 0 mana you can give it +1, -1 until end of turn there. So you can change its power and toughness for a bit there. Mog Maniac, 1 and a red, 1/1 goblin. When it's dealt damage, it deals an equal amount of damage to target opponent there. Feels very reminiscent of Boros Reckoner there. So, you know, this is a good one to have out there when you have your Blasphemous Act go off there. Sky Shroud Elite, 1 green for a 1/1 elf that gets +1/+2 as long as any opponent controls any non-basic lands. Jade Mage, 1 and a green, 2/1 human shaman, 2 and a green. Put a 1/1 green sapperling creature token on the battlefield. Cogwork Librarian, 4 for a 3/3 artifact creature construct that does a lot of stuff with drafting. Now that it's out and it's no longer drafted, it means nothing. And we're also getting another mythic here. So tons of mythics this time. This one's from that like Selesnyan guild pack. Trostani Selesnya's Voice, double green, double white. You know, spoilers here that one of Trostani was the person that killed, what was it? Prime Speaker Zagana, I think it was, in Karlov Manor. I'm sure nobody really read that story, but that's what ended up happening. 2 green, 2 white, 2/5 legendary Dryad that whenever another creature ETBs under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness there. So in a Toughness Matters deck there, you can really get that there. But this also cares about creature tokens there, because 1 green and white, you can tap this to populate. Populate was such a slow mechanic though, because it only creates 1 token of 1 target creature token there. Ooh, and a good white bordered one, Mutilate. 2 and double black for a sorcery. All creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn for each swamp you control. Very nice. And a Goblin Settler, 3 and a red for a 1/1 goblin with when it ETBs destroy target land there. Okay, people probably hate that. And we have the Tea Party of Anax and Simod and Kineos and Tiro there. So all of them just showing up for us there, I guess, after everything went down on Theros in after Elspeth came back to life. Alrighty. All That Glitters, 1 white, 1 and a white, enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Very good in Enchantress deck there because, I mean, you put it out there and they're probably going to be gaining at least 10/10 in stats. Spirit Mantle is another good enchantment there. 1 and a white, enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 as protection from creatures. So creatures can't block them there. So free way to get in. Cold Water Snapper, 5 and a blue, 4/5 turtle with hexproof. Pretty simple there. Tarlan's Invocation, 2 double blue sorcery. Put 2/2 blue Drake creature tokens with flying on the battlefield. Archfiend of Sorrows, 5 double black, 4/5 demon with flying. When it ETBs, creatures your opponents control get -2/-2 until end of turn, and it has Unearth for 3 and double black. Dothy Horror, you don't get to see many Dothies. 1 and a black, 2/1 beast with shadow, and it cannot be blocked by a white creature. So it, if somehow a white creature got shadow, it could not block this. Slavering Nulls, 1 and a red, 2/1 goblin zombie that whenever it deals combat damage to a player, if you control a swamp, you may have that player discard a card. Sparksmith, 1 and a red, 1/1 goblin, deals X damage to target creature and X damage to you where X number of goblins in play. Horn Sliver, I'll definitely take more slivers. 2 and a green for a 2/2 sliver that gives all slivers trample. Very nice. Reclamation Sage, those are good ones as well. 2 and a green for a 2/1 elf shaman. When it ETBs, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Mystic Monastery, land that ETB's tapped, and you get blue, red, or white when you tap it. God Pharaoh's Gift, 7 mana for an artifact that at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may exile a creature from your graveyard. If you do, you create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 4/4 black zombie, and it gains haste until end of turn, so you don't have to pay anything. That's why it's so expensive there. I'll take that. I don't have that. Ash Barrens, another a white bordered land. We'll take that. Taps for colorless, and you can basically uncycling it for 1. Oh, Hull Breacher. That's an interesting one to get here. I think that this is still banned as well. 2 and a blue for a 3/2 Merfolk Pirate with Flash. If an opponent would draw a card except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead you create a treasure. Yeah, you can create a lot of treasure with this here. And especially if you do something like a wheel effect there that makes them draw a bunch of cards. Well, they don't get to draw. They discard their hand. They don't get to draw their cards, and you get a bunch of treasures. I can see why it's not anything there that they want to have out. And Built Bear, so you get to build your Build-A-Bear any way that you want there to make it the perfect creature, the perfect organism. That is what Shadow the Hedgehog will eventually become. Alrighty. Dauntless Bodyguard, 1 white, 2/1 Human Knight, ETBs. You choose another creature you control, and you can sack this, and the chosen creature gets indestructible until end of turn. Perimeter Captain, 1 white, 0/4 Human Soldier, Defender. Whenever creature you control with Defender blocks, you gain 2 life. Narcolepsy, 1 and a blue, enchantment aura, and you enchant creature at the beginning of each upkeep. If enchanted creature is untapped, tap it. Sajiri Merfolk, 1 and a blue, 2/1 Merfolk Soldier. As long as you control a planes, this has First Strike and Lifelink. Okay. Sir Conrad the Grim, nice one there as well. 3 and double black, 5/4 Legendary Human Knight. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad deals 1 damage to each opponent. 1 and a black, each player puts the top card of their library into their graveyards. Feed the Swarm will take more of those as well. 1 and a black, sorcery, destroy target creature or enchantment opponent controls. You lose life equal to its mana value. Faithless Salvaging, so we just got our Faithless Looting, so that's what this is based off of. 1 and a black, discard a card, and then you draw a card, and then you get to rebound it and play it again. Goblin Crater Maker, 1 and a red for a 2/2 Goblin Warrior. Pay 1 to sack it, and you get to either deal 2 damage to a target creature or destroy target colorless non-land permanent. So basically an artifact. Vine Mare, 2 and double green, 5/3 Elemental Horse that has hexproof, and Can't be blocked by black creatures. Whip Silk, 1 green for an enchant creature. So an aura enchanted creature may block as though it had flying, and you can pay 1 green to return this to its owner's hand. Inside Out, very weird artwork there, but that's Lorwyn for you. 1 and a hybrid blue-red for an instant. Switch target creature's power and toughness until end of turn, draw a card. So if you're in a Toughness Matters, if you're fighting a Toughness Matters deck, you can just be like, yeah, you know, your thing that has 0 power, I'm just going to flip it and just kill your card. More mythics there. AC, Tyrant of Gyre Strait. 4 green and a blue for a 5/5 Legendary Serpent. You may play an additional land on each of your turns, and whenever a land ETBs under your control, you may draw a card. You know, it's a pretty straightforward guy. Stony Silence, that's another good one as well. 1 and a white enchantment. Activated abilities of artifacts can't be activated. Hoses, getting any of the mana from artifacts if you don't like that there. Norwood Priestess, 2 and double green for a 1/1 elf druid with tap. You may put a green creature from your hand onto the battlefield. Activate only during your turn before attackers are declared. Okay, you know, cheat something out, easy. Hey, there we go. We got a Bullshock Dragon. I know that they did make some like more design cards with the Bullshock Dragon on it there, but this is a nice one there. 5 and a red, 6/6 armored dragon creature with double, not breaker, but strike. And while attacking, this creature gets +1 and 1,000 power for each fire red card in your graveyard there. Very nice one there. Funny one to get in, because I remember when Duel Masters was a thing. It was never a big thing over here, but I remember having the video game for it and just trying to be as good as I could with it. Totem Guide, Heart Beast, 4 and a white for a 2/5 Antelope with whenever ETBs. You may search your library for an aura, reveal it, put in your hand, shuffle your deck. Shuffle your library. Resolute Reinforcements, 1 and white. 1/1 Human Soldier with Flash, when it ETBs. Create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. Probe, 2 and a blue with kicker 1 and black. Draw 3 cards and discard 2 from your hand. If the kicker cost was paid, target player discards 2 cards from their hand there. So another player discards stuff. Ooh, another Sliver. We'll certainly take that, especially in this old frame. Shifting Sliver, 3 and a blue, 2/2. Slivers can't be blocked except by slivers, so pretty much give them unblockable. That's nice. Moon Glove Changeling, 2 and a black, 2/2 Shapeshifter with Changeling, and 1 black, it gains Death Touch until end of turn. Dangerous. That's dangerous. Virus Beetle, 1 and a black, 1/1 artifact creature insect. When it ETBs, each opponent discards a card. Volcanic Hammer, 1 and a red sorcery, deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Skewer the Critics. This was another one that was used in Standard there. 2 and a red for a sorcery with Spectacle of 1, deals 3 damage to any target there. So if you've dealt damage already this turn, it becomes Lightning Bolt, just as a sorcery. Land Grant, 1 and a green for sorcery. If you have no land cards in hand, you may reveal your hand instead of paying land grants. Mana cost, search your library for a forest, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. I remember seeing someone that was using this in a meme deck there that had like only 5 lands or something like that in it. It was funny there. So, I mean, it's nice to get the card. Krosan Vorin, 3 and a green for a 3/2 Cat Beast with Provoke. When this attacks, you may have target creature defending player control untap and block if able. So you can force something to block this, okay? This can't be blocked by more than 1 creature, so you can even choose it there. Nice. Sting! 4, a red and a green for a 3/4 legendary human warrior. That when it ETBs, you create a legendary 3/4 red and green human warrior creature token named Stang Twin. Exile that token when Stang leaves the battlefield. Sacrifice Stang when that token leaves the battlefield. Coffin Queen. She's looking nifty there, especially with those forearms. 2 and a black, 1/1 zombie wizard. You may choose not to untap Coffin Queen during your untap step. 2 and a black, tap it. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. When Coffin Queen becomes untapped or you lose control of it, you exile that creature. Not too bad. You know, bring something back easy enough. Colossal Dreadmaw in white border there. Certainly take that. Meekstone will take that as well. 1 mana for an artifact. Creature with power 3 or greater. Don't untap during their controller's untap steps. And a Wormhole Warp there. Well, like I said, we just got Edge of Eternities and we got a lot of warp cards and interstellar stuff, so that might be related to it somehow, maybe. And the very curled side of this one here, but we'll get it open. And our final pack of this one here is going to have Swell of Courage, 3 double white, instant creatures you control gets +2/+2 until end turn, reinforce X, X and double white. Discard this card, you put X +1/+1s on target creature. Sunblade Angel, 5 and a white, 3/3 Angel with a lot of keywords there. Flying, First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink. It's trying to be a chroma. Sea Scryer, 1 and a blue, 1/1 summon Merfolk. So Merfolk creature, tap to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. 1 and tap to add 1 blue, you know, help mana fixing there, or you can use it as a colorless mana dork. Breakthrough, X and a blue, sorcery, draw 4 cards, then choose X cards in your hand and discard the rest from it there. Okay. Elspeth's Nightmare, 2 and a black, Saga, that destroy target creature and opponent controls with power 2 or less. Second turn, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land from it. They discard it, and on the 3, exile target opponent's graveyard. Suffocating Fumes, 2 and a black instant. Creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until end of turn, and cycling 2. Goblin Gardener, 3 and a red, 2/1 goblin. When it is put into a graveyard from play, destroy target land. Okay, more land destruction. Twinferno there. Looks like a little bit of Jaya and Joda going off. 1 and a red for an instant. Choose 1. Whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery, you copy that spell, you may choose new targets, or target creature you control gains double strike until end of turn. More fire? Jaya asked. More fire, Joda agreed. Massive Might, 1 green for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 and trample. Drum Hunter, 3 and a green for a 2/2 human Druid Warrior. At the end of your turn, if you control a creature with power 5 or greater, you may draw a card. You can tap this to add 1 colorless to your mana pool there. A lot of stuff deals with wanting power 4 or greater, so you might have to deal a little bit more to get 5 or greater, but an extra card never hurts. Replicating Ring, 3 mana for a snow artifact that taps to add 1 mana of any color. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a night counter on this. Then if it has 8 or more night counters on it, you remove all of them and you create 8 colorless snow artifact tokens named Replicating Ring with tap to add 1 mana of any color there. So the tokens don't replicate there, but the possibility of getting a bunch there. Again, something that I could potentially see putting into the Tidus deck if I wanted to give it a try, because proliferating and putting a bunch of counters on things is what it wants to do. Dromoka's Command, green and white, instant. You choose 2. Prevent all damage target instant or sorcery spell would deal. Target player sacks an enchantment. Put a +1/+1 on target creature, or target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. This top one is kind of situational there. Not the greatest. You could play this when they only have 1 enchantment there, so they get rid of the thing that they want. This one isn't the most impactful there, but fighting to remove something is decent enough there. Wish, white bordered Wish, 2 and a red for a sorcery. You may play a card you own from outside the game this turn. You get to choose what it is. And especially if you get Omniscience out there, you can play whatever you want for however much you want it to be. Merchant Scroll, 1 and a blue for a sorcery. Search your library for a blue instant card, reveal that card, put it in your hand, and then shuffle. And we're also going to have a map to Lorthos's temple there. But that's going to end things for us there. We ended up getting a ton of mythics here. Okagashi, Sarkon, AC, Drostania, Chroma, Clever Impersonator, Leovold, Prosh, Grist, Garth. And we got all of our stuff there. Only 1 foil this time, but it is Gush. Gush is a pretty good one to get. And then, I mean, on top of that, the extra cards we get have Sliver, Hive, Ugin, and then our 4 legendary creatures, as well as the Stitcher's Flyer was pretty nice there. I am happy in total with what we got. You know, I've got more mystery boosters that I have that I'll be just popping out at random times, and you'll be able to know which one it is based off of whatever special cards come with it there. But generally, whatever special cards that come with it are pretty darn bonkers, if you ask me. And then, I don't know, I just like all of the random stuff. I might even bring, take a mystery booster and open up with friends and do a draft with it just to be like, random cards. I think that'd be fun. But thank you for joining me on this one here with this spooky, scary mystery booster there. I hope that you have luck with whatever you're doing. Please take care of yourself. I'll look forward to you coming back on another time there. But until then, I'll see you later.